Hello friends, so let us resume the second part of the lecture. So what we have seen so far is we have considered a plate of unit thickness and a region of interest within the plate, that is AB, which is experiencing a uniaxial loading. And for this region of interest we were able to quantify the normal stress and also the shear stress. The way we were able to quantify that, or the way we adapted, or the way this normal stress and the shear stress were expressed was in terms of the overall tensile stress. This was expressed in terms of the overall tensile stress, which is nothing but P by A, that is the area perpendicular to the loading direction, and this was nothing but AC. So the different components of stress along with their directions, we calculated it and we related it to the overall tensile stress that the material is experiencing. Now we said that we will build on it in the second part of this lecture, that is this part, by introducing another axis or the another loading axis, that is in addition to the uniaxial loading along the x-axis. Now you have your loading along the y-axis. So this is the condition that we will be dealing with in the second part of this lecture, or in this lecture rather. So you have, instead of uniaxial loading, the three-dimensional plate that you are considering so far is experiencing a biaxial loading, and let us try to derive at the normal stress component and the shear stress component experienced by the region of interest under this biaxial loading condition. Now please remember that the region of interest is also a plane, so therefore it is important for us to consider the appropriate directions of the normal stress and the shear stress, and that is what we did in the previous lecture as well. So let us begin as usual by considering the different angles that are relevant to us, that help us quantify the both normal stress and the shear stress. So we have our region of interest, that is AB, which is inclined by an angle theta. So this would be the angle of inclination. So this we refer to it as theta. So these are the edges of the plate, and the reason why we are required to replot it is because now we have to consider two loading directions. Now we have our regular loading direction, that is x-axis. So let us assume the load along the x-axis as Px, and there is another loading direction, that is the y-axis. Rather, I will try to make it as straight as possible. So this would be the other loading direction. So this would be your x. So this is a tensile loading condition. So you have this representation here, and now we have to determine the different angles around this point O here. This point, let us assume it to be O. We have to determine different angles around the point O in order for us to quantify the normal stress and the shear stress. Now let us assume the normal stress, or the direction along which the normal stress is acting, to be this. So this is the direction along which the normal stress with respect to AB is acting. So now let us assume this angle to be 1, and since this is 90 degrees, the angle 1 is equal to 90 minus theta. Now the angle here we have seen is equal to angle 1. So this will also be 90 minus theta, because it is formed by two straight lines, that is red line and the black line of AB, and the red line of the loading direction Px. So these two angles are equal, we represent it as 1. Now the overall angle here is perpendicular, so that means we have seen earlier this angle we assume it to be 2. So this should be 2 should be equal to theta. Now then we have our loading direction Px and we have our loading direction Py. So for our frame of reference, the Px and Py, or the x and y are mutually perpendicular. So that means this angle here, the angle x and y makes, so this angle here is perpendicular and this angle here is perpendicular. However, we know that this angle 2 is theta, so that means this angle here will be 90 minus theta. So we know what this angle is, what this angle is, what this other, the angle that are designated as 1 is. So let us try to then calculate the load that is acting along the direction which is normal to AB. So what we are essentially doing is we are trying to calculate the load that is acting normal to AB. Now the easier way of doing that is we have a load that is acting along Px or the x direction. So if you project this Px onto the normal direction, we can do that by this expression. So theta is the angle between the loading direction and our desired direction. You are projecting it, so the load along the normal direction is Px cos theta. Now there is also a component of load that is acting along the normal direction that comes from Py. So since we have a biaxial tensile load, so there is a component that comes from x loading direction. There is also a component that comes from the y loading direction. So this we have to include in to calculate the load that is acting along the normal direction. So this is the load that is acting along the normal direction. So it should have two components, one that comes from the load acting along the x direction and the load that is acting along the y direction. So we have to write it as Py cos of angle between the y direction and the normal direction or the desired direction. So cos of 90 minus theta. So ultimately this expression would look like Px cos theta plus Py sin theta. So this Pn is the load acting along the normal direction, normal to our region of interest AB. So it is comprises of two components. One component x, it arises from the load acting along the x direction. The other component is arises from the load that is acting along the y direction. So this is the expression for it. Now this is the overall expression for the load. What we are interested is in the stress and the stress acting along the normal direction. The way you could arrive at the expression for stress is by dividing the load acting along the normal direction to that of the area. Now we have the load acting along the normal direction with respect to AB. So when you divide Pn by the area AB, you would have an expression for the normal component of stress that is perpendicular to AB. So when you do that, then the normal component of stress will be Pn divided by area AB, which would then be equal to Px divided by area AB cos theta plus Py divided by area AB sin theta. So what we have done is we have divided the whole expression from area AB in order to describe not the load acting along the normal direction, but to describe the stress acting along the normal direction, and that is the reason why we have divided each and every load with area AB. Now we have to express the area AB in such a way that we discuss in terms of the stress along the x direction and the stress along the y direction. Now if you could recollect, in case of uniaxial loading, it's just above here, in case of uniaxial loading, we expressed the normal stress in terms of the actual stress. In case of uniaxial loading, we expressed the normal stress, as you could recollect, we saw in the previous initial stages of the lecture, related the normal stress to the overall stress. And we want to do the same here, but now we have the overall stress acting in two different directions. So what we essentially want to do is we want to express this normal stress in terms of the stress that is acting along the x direction and the stress that is acting along the y direction. This is because now we have instead of uniaxial tensile loading, we have biaxial tensile loading. So we want to express the normal stress in terms of the stress along the x direction and the stress along the y direction. So if I want to express the stress along the x direction, I have to represent the area AB in such a manner. So now if I want to express the load in terms of the stress along the x direction, then I have to represent my area AB with respect to AC. So if I do that, then Px by area AB cos theta would be then of the form P by area AB cos AC, or rather area BC cos square theta. Now the way we have translated AB to BC is the way we have done it for the two-dimensional case. It's just AB, or if you see, look here, the ratio of AC and BC is nothing but cos theta, and therefore using we have used that cos theta relation, that is cos theta is nothing but the ratio of AC and AB rather. So this is the cos theta AC and this is the so AB. Now we can bring this AB here, so then it would be AB would be AC by cos theta, and now you can substitute that value here, so then it would be area AC by cos theta square. Now this area AC is perpendicular to the load along the x direction, so that means Px by AB cos theta is nothing but sigma x cos square theta. So we have done nothing new here, we have just used the expressions that we derived for the two-dimensional case, particularly the relation in cos theta, and we have arrived at this expression. So now this is what we arrived for the Px case. We have related the Px to the area that is perpendicular to the loading direction, and we arrived at this expression. We have to arrive at a similar expression wherein for the Py case. Now we have the loading direction Py here, we have to express this Py or translate this Py to sigma y. So in order to do that, we have to find an area that is perpendicular to the y direction. We want to translate or express the Py in terms of sigma y. In order to do that, when you have an area that is perpendicular to the loading direction or the y direction, you can just divide it and express it in terms of sigma y. So this area is nothing but the region BC. Now for that you have to take the sin theta, and the sin theta will be nothing but BC by AB. So under this condition, then the Py area AB, which you have seen here, this Py area AB sin theta will be nothing but Py area BC, the area that is perpendicular to the loading direction, BC the area that is perpendicular to the y loading direction, and it comes with a sign, so this becomes sin square theta. And ultimately what you have now done is you have expressed this in terms of sigma y sin square theta. So you have Py by area AB sin theta as sigma y sin square theta. This is one way you could represent one component of the normal stress, a way you could represent the component of the normal stress using the stress acting along the y direction. The other component of the normal stress using the stress along the x direction is of this form. Then when you substitute these two into this expression here, when you substitute the ways you have expressed the different components of stress in terms of sigma x and sigma y, you could see the normal stress is nothing but the sum of sigma x cos square theta plus sigma y sin square theta. So the normal component of the stress acting perpendicular to a desired region of interest under biaxial loading is of this form. Now let us try to understand the expression for the shear component of the stress acting along the region of interest under biaxial loading. So this we have achieved by expressing the area of our interest and relating the area of our interest to that of the area that is perpendicular to the x and y direction. If you could recollect, this is exactly what we have done. So area AB is the area of the region of our interest. This we have related to the area perpendicular to the loading direction, thereby enabling us to translate this load into the stress acting in that direction. Similarly, that is exactly what we did for the area here, for what we did for the loading direction along the y-axis. We translated our area to the our area of interest to the area that is perpendicular to the loading direction, and ultimately we have arrived at an expression wherein the normal stress is equal, or we have arrived at an expression wherein we have our normal stress, which is expressed based on the stress acting along the x-axis and also the stress acting along the y-axis. Now let us try to then quantify the shear stress that is acting along the region of our interest. So this is the expression that we have is for the normal stress that is acting perpendicular to the region of interest. We saw there is also a component that is acting along the region of interest. So let us quantify the stress that is acting along the region of interest for a plate experiencing a biaxial loading condition. So we have, for that again we have to go to this plot here wherein we have described the different angles. So now we have we saw that we know what this the loading direction, or what is the component of stress that is acting along this direction. We were able to quantify that, and we know the angle this direction, or the angle this direction makes with the region of our interest. So that is 1. So the angle that the loading direction makes with the region of our interest is 1. And now when you want to project that to the direction of our interest, so we have our loading direction, we have our direction of our interest. When you want to project this onto the direction of our interest or the region of our interest, you have to take the cos of that angle. So that angle is 90 minus theta, and we have to take the cos of that angle. So the shear component acting along AB, now similar to the normal component, it comprises of two loading conditions. We have load that is acting along the x-axis, and we have the load that is acting along the y-axis. Now if you express that with respect to these, if you express that with respect to these two different contributions, now we have, let us again express in terms of the load that is acting along the x-axis, and we need to have a definite area for that, and we have to consider the cos of the angle, that is 1, the angle between the loading direction and the angle or the region or the direction that is desired to us. So that angle we saw it to be 1. Now in the similar way, we have our loading direction. We know what is the load acting in this region or in this direction, and we have to project it to this region of our interest or the direction of our interest. We know what is the load acting in this direction, we have to project it onto the region of our interest. Here it is important to note that even though we can calculate what this angle is, the direction would be in this direction, but we are interested in this direction. So in order to translate it, we have seen in our convention, in order to translate it, the convention is to add a negative sign to it. So even though you are projecting it onto this direction here, the direction which we are interested is in this direction, that is the AB direction. So in order to achieve the projection onto the desired direction, you have to consider a negative sign over it. So for that, let us consider what this angle is first. So let us determine what this angle is first. So this angle is nothing but equal to that of this angle. So this angle is formed by the solid black line of the AB and the solid blue line of the loading direction y-axis. So the solid blue line is the y-axis and the solid black line is the x-axis, and the angle that is formed between these two, let's just assume it to be 3. This angle is equal to that of this angle because this is also formed by the region of our interest and the y-axis. Now the sum of 1 and 3 should be 90 degrees because x and y are mutually perpendicular. So the sum of 1 and 3 should be 90 degrees because x and y are mutually perpendicular. We know that sum 1 is equal to 90 minus theta, and therefore 3 should be equal to theta. So the angle between the x-axis and the region of our interest is 90 minus theta. However, the angle between the y-axis and the region of our interest is just theta. So this angular relation will be helpful for us when we want to calculate when we want to quantify the stress or the shear stress that is acting along the AB plane. So we have now found out the angular relationship between the region or the direction along which the load is acting and our desired direction. So for x-axis the angle is 90 minus theta, for the y-axis the angle is theta. So when you substitute that in this expression, so we have cos theta 1, that is theta 1 is nothing but 90 minus theta, and we saw that theta 3 is directly theta. So this would be the expression then when you have would be p by y, the corresponding a. So let's just corresponding a be ax and the corresponding a be ky, cos of theta 3, and we have seen that this theta 3 is equal to theta. However, we also saw that when we are making the projection, we are making the projection onto the negative aspect of the desired region of interest. Therefore, this overall tensile stress, which comprises of the stress cos theta 1, should be minus of p by a cos of theta 3. So this negative comes from the convention, and this convention is because we are projecting it accordingly. Now let us go back, so let us try to substitute these angles instead of theta 1 and theta 2. Let us first try to substitute these angles, and then we will quantify what these areas, respective areas are. So this shear component of stress that is acting along AB will be Px by Ax cos, this theta 1 is 90 minus theta plus, or rather the minus that comes from the convention because we are projecting it to the other direction of our desired plane. So Py by Ay cos of theta. We have seen that theta 3 is equal to theta. Now since 90 minus theta is sin theta, then your tangential stress along the plane AB would be Px by Ax sin theta minus Py by Ay cos theta. Now we have seen that we have to express this shear component of stress in terms of the stress acting along the overall tensile stress acting along the x direction and the overall tensile stress that is acting along the y direction. So therefore these Ax and Ay should be perpendicular to x and the y axis. So the Ax and the Ay, only when this Ax and Ay are respectively perpendicular to the x and y axis, you will be able to represent this shear stress in terms of the stress acting along the x axis and the overall stress acting along the y axis. For that, you have to consider the Ax then should be that of AC and the Ay should then be that of BC. We have seen that if you want to express the shear components in terms of the stress acting along the x direction and the stress acting along the y direction, then you have to consider the appropriate area that is perpendicular to the x direction and the area perpendicular to the y direction. The area perpendicular to the x direction is AC, the area perpendicular to the y direction is BC. So when you substitute those areas in this expression, then you would end up with an expression something like this, wherein the shear stress acting along AB would be sigma x sin theta cos theta minus sigma y sin theta cos theta. So this sin theta here comes from the area that is perpendicular to the loading direction y, and the cos theta here comes from the area that is perpendicular to the loading direction x. So ultimately the shear stress that is acting on AB can be expressed in terms of the overall stress acting along x and y direction as sigma x sin theta cos theta minus sigma y sin theta cos theta. Now if you could recollect, we have also expressed the overall stress acting normal to that of the AB, the desired plane of interest, in terms of x and y. This was, as you could see here, we have derived it here, this was sigma x sin square theta plus sigma y, rather cos square theta. So these are the two ways, or these are the ways one could quantify the shear and the normal stress acting on a plane of interest that is that we want to focus on. So you have a plane of interest within a plate, a three-dimensional plate of unit thickness, and this plate is experiencing a biaxial loading. And when you have a biaxial loading, this plate or this region of interest within the plate experiences a normal stress that is acting perpendicular to the region of interest, and the shear stress that is acting along the region of interest. And under the biaxial condition, this is how you would express. Under the biaxial condition, this is how you would express or quantify the normal stress and the shear stress that is acting on the region of your interest. So what we have done so far is we have begun by considering an uniaxial condition, and under the uniaxial condition we quantified the normal stress experienced by a region of interest within a plate in terms of the overall stress. And similarly, we quantified the shear stress that is acting along the region of interest under uniaxial condition with respect to the overall tensile stress. Now similarly, we extended the conditions to the biaxial stress, wherein you have the tensile load acting along x and y axis. We were able to quantify similarly the overall normal stress acting in the desired plane of interest with respect to the stress that is acting along the x axis and the stress that is acting along the y axis, and similarly the overall shear strain using the stress that is acting along the x axis, or the shear stress using the stress that is acting along the x axis and the stress that is acting along the y axis. So what we have essentially done is we have essentially quantified the normal stress and the shear stress components based on the overall stress that is imposed onto the system. So all these we have been doing is to ensure that we are able to easily calculate the different components of stress that a region experiences under uniaxial and the triaxial loading conditions, or rather uniaxial and a biaxial loading condition. So let us try to build on it and see using these relations, how well we can understand the different components of stresses. So these relations we will be using to understand or to quantify the different components of stresses, and that is the reason why we expressed everything in terms of the overall stress acting along the x and the y axis. So this will help us understand because whatever we impose, the mechanical condition we impose on a material will depend on the load we are applied in the x and y direction, and we have now expressed the normal stress and the shear stress, which is something that is purely theoretical, experienced by your region of interest within the plate. We have expressed it in terms of the load that you externally apply. So we will build on this to make or to understand how these values vary, or to calculate these components of stress for a given region of our interest. We will try to understand how well one can relate the load that we impose on the overall system to that of the component of stress experienced by our region of interest. So this is what we will be looking into the subsequent lecture. So what we will be doing is we will start from a point of the load that we impose externally onto the system, and based on that we will try to understand how the mechanical condition experienced by a component within the overall system can be quantified. Is what we will be seeing in the subsequent lecture. So see you in the next lecture. Goodbye.